We're looking ahead to Saturday. There are 4 games on in the NBA, a great day for streaming. Let's pay attention to what we're watching for, what's on my radar, who we're streaming in, and of course, how's Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and what if he shot you in the face? I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram, at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnNBA, for a first deposit match up to $100. 4 games on. We can stream our asses off. There is a quick reminder though. There's an early game. I don't know why, but there is a 6 p.m. game on Saturday. And the 6 p.m. game is the Bucks and the Magic, I believe. So be aware. So if you are playing in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, the second waiver process time will move an hour back or an hour forward, because we like to do that second waiver 1 hour before games tip. So that will move back. But there is a 6 p.m. Eastern game, again, no idea why, between the Magic hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. So you need to be aware of that as we head into these games. I never remember if I hit the stinger, but we'll do it again. We're looking ahead here to Saturday in the NBA. A new segment I'm going to drop. Well, sort of a new segment that is going to be a recycled old segment. We'll get to that in a second. Let's look at what we're actually looking at here for Saturday's games, and let's pay attention to where we're at with the injuries as things currently stand. We know that Wendell Carter Jr. is out with that hand fracture. Anyone want to tell us what's going on with Caleb Martin? Played 1 game, and then the Martin knee issue arrived. He's out again, ruled out a day in advance. I think at this point, I'm just going to rule him out for a few weeks. This is exactly what happened with his brother last season, Cody Martin, in Charlotte. Played 1 game, knee soreness, never returned. That's not true. Was out for months without them telling us anything. Came back, played 3 games, had surgery. So I am officially worried here about Caleb Martin and this knee. I'm officially annoyed that no one's telling us anything about it. And with, I didn't even write this on the list. Tyler Hero's obviously out with his ankle injury for the Heat as well. He's obviously out. But the Caleb Martin thing is underplayed and underreported. And maybe I should ask the Heat beat reporters, where they're at with Caleb Martin and this knee injury, if we've got any information about what's actually going on. But he's out again. We know that, I do have Tyler here on this list. What am I talking about? I wasn't looking at the list when I said that. There you go. At this point, we don't have a status on whether Damian Lillard plays. I would expect that he does play. I would say that he had calf soreness, which he's had in the past. He's had calf issues in the past. It was a back-to-back, so he didn't play. I expect that he is ready to go. If he doesn't play, then I'm going to rule him out for a week. But I think he'll play. Gary Harris is officially questionable. I would think that Gary probably doesn't play. An older guy with a history of lower body soft tissue injuries. He'd probably just want to give it 1 more, but he's questionable. And then Precious Achiuwa with his own groin issue. I think he's played like 1 or 2 games this season. How they integrate Achiuwa and Boucher in that lineup and what that does to Poeltl is going to be something for us to watch there for the Toronto Raptors and their rotation. Some other injuries to look at. Isaac Okoro is questionable. He missed the last couple of games there. With him out, it does help guys like Strus, George Niang as well. I'm just checking if there's any more updates on injuries. No, not yet. Nikola Jovic has missed the last couple. Actually, he's missed basically every game all season. Jamal Cain is also questionable, and Ty Jerome's been out for a while with an ankle problem there in Cleveland. Their depth stinks, and now they're losing players to Cleveland. So that's where we're at currently with the injuries with those guys. So what I did want to do, and I don't know if I'll do it every single daily look ahead, but I wanted to chuck a player in the fantasy spotlight. I wanted to put them, the real ones will know, I wanted to put them under the lens. And where are we going? Where are we going to put somebody under the lens? we're going to Orlando and we're looking at the dart, Goga Bitadze, because over the last 7 days, the player that has seen the most value change, either up or down, from their season-long numbers is Goga. So let's look into what's going on. He's played 3 games in the last 7 days. He's played only 23 minutes a game, but he is putting up some pretty strong numbers. Goga has been the starting center for the Magic, and I expect that he continues to do that while Wendell Carter is out. Don't expect full starters minutes, though, like, for example, the game in Mexico City. Goga didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. It was Mo Wagner for 9 minutes, and then John Isaac closed it out for the final 3 minutes. But so far, very small sample size. Goga on his EPM, and EPM has single game numbers. They're not particularly awesome, but they're okay. He's only been a negative twice all season, and one of those was that game against the Hawks. He was a negative 0.1. The full season EPM numbers aren't out yet, but he's had a lot of positives. In on Basketball Reference, the on-off numbers, Goga is a plus 32 on-off. Yes, it is, again, low minutes. He's only played 79 minutes for the season, but Mo Wagner is a negative 17.9 on-off. So, at this point, when Goga's on the court, the team is much better. When Mo is on the court, the team is much worse. Now, Mo is still playing well and putting up good numbers, but Goga's someone that they are using, at least early on, at the moment. So, over the last week, he's averaging almost 10 points, 9.7 points, with 7 rebounds. He's also blocking 2.7 shots per game. That's probably the big key, and he is currently running at his career best block rate, which is 99th percentile in the NBA. So, last season, he was at 5.9 block percentage. This season he's at 9.1. The year before, 5.2. So I think we can expect a level of decline there. He's also at 77% at the rim. He was at 71 and 68 the last 2 seasons. So there might be a drop there, but you can see the strength of his percentages. 61 from the field and 78 from the line. That means that over the last week, he is 84th in -1 rankings, a better way to look at category rankings, so that you don't see a situation where Jayshawn Tate is considered a better category league player than Giannis. And in fantasy points, he's the 100th ranked player over the last week, averaging 28.4 fantasy points. There is going to be some regression here, I think, in the blocks and some of the shooting. But for now, Goga is worth a 12-team roster spot. I also think that Mo Wagner is. But at the moment, things are working nicely for Goga. So what I want to do with this, give your feedback, whether you tweet it at me or you drop it in the YouTube comments. I'm going to try and do this one player who has seen the biggest rise or fall over the previous 7 days, and who plays on the day that we're looking at, and just try and dig into what do we make of these numbers? What do we make of the fall? What do we make of the rise? How do we dig into those numbers? Is this useful? I hope so. Let me know, please. I'm always open to different things and changing things up and trying to bring the best experience for you guys possible in these shows. Well, that's what I try to do anyway. Today's episode is also brought to you, it's actually brought to you by Jace Medical and the Jace Case. I've been telling you about Jace Case for a while. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. You don't want to have to be in a situation where you need these antibiotics and you can't get to a spot where you need healthcare, and emergency healthcare to boot. What the Jace Case does is get them in your home so that when you need them, you get them. You jump on a call with their board-certified physicians when you get the Jace Case sorted and sent to your house, and then when you need it, you can get advice about how to use it and when to use it in what sort of situations. It's doctor created. It is doctor recommended. They also have a situation to help combat some of the medication supply chain issues across the world, where you can get a year's supply of your daily use medications. Lots of different medications that they can provide to you in addition to your Jace Case of emergency antibiotics as well. So if you go to jacemedical.com, you can see everything that's available to you in that yearly supply of daily medications. And you can also save $20 off by using the Locked On code. That's LOCKEDON. That's $20 off at Jace Medical, JASE medical.com. All right, let us go in now to look at the streams of the day. With only 4 games on, we've got a few interesting ones, and they are heavily concentrated because I am at heart a Florida man. We are heavily concentrated, in fact, 100% concentrated in Florida. 10-team stream. I'll go through the cutoffs that I do use for these numbers. 10-team stream, we use 65% rostered. Kyle Lowry is there. 12-team category stream, I'm using Kyle Lowry because I'm doing under 45% rostered. At 12-team points, I use under 50% rostered, so Jalen Suggs is there. Now, Suggsy is 45% rostered at the moment, so he was right in the cutoff for that 12-team category. So I guess I could consider Suggsy a rosterable stream guy as well. 14-team and 16-team categories, I use 20% cutoff for 14s and 10% cutoff for 16s. Duncan Robinson's the guy that I'm looking at now. This could completely blow up in my face, but he played like 36 minutes last game with Tyler Hero out. His spacing and shooting is going to be important. He's not going to do much in other areas, but look at what Max Strus is doing in Cleveland. If Robinson plays 35 minutes, he could have 16 points with 4 or 5 threes, maybe get 5 rebounds, and that's probably enough in the deeper leagues. In deeper leagues, finding a 30-minute plus player, not an easy thing to do. And I do think, even if he doesn't start, I do think that Dunk is going to be worth a look there. They also, the Miami Heat, have a back-to-back across the weekend. There's only 2 teams that do that. Last time they had a back-to-back, Jimmy Butler sat, but Kyle Lowry didn't. Keep an eye on that one as well. So they're my streams of the day. Lowry, Suggs, and Duncan Robinson in that mix. So what is on my radar for the 4 games? Here is the early game. I'll stress it again, an early game, 6 p.m. Eastern. Get your lineup set. Locked On Fantasy Basketball Ball participants. Waiver moves forward or moves back. Instead of going at 6 p.m. Eastern, it'll go at 5 p.m. Eastern. Bucks and Magic. My guys I want to watch and my stream options are the same. Although for the Magic, there still remains tons of stream guys. I think Anthony Black's stream value is going to be gone, though, with Gary Harris questionable. If Harris is in, Black is gone. If Harris is out, Black's value rises. I want to watch Jay Crowder because if Lillard plays, I want to see the Crowder-Beasley dynamic or even like an Andre Jackson, Marjan Beauchamp because Beasley's not it, right? He's a good shooter, but he stinks defensively, and this whole team stinks defensively. So let's see how they utilize that. Crowder probably isn't a 12-team league option as a regular player, but as a streamer, maybe. On the Magic, I want to see Wagner because he barely played in the first half. It was all Goga. And then Wagner took the bulk of the minutes in the second half. Wagner's running at like a 72% true shooting this season as well. But his on-off, as I mentioned, is horrific. And he had some bad defensive plays in that comeback by the Hawks. But he's still, in 21, 22 minutes, he's still a 12-team league guy. And I think both him and Goga are 12-team options. So they're both stream options, Crowder and Wagner. But even on the Magic, you got Wagner as a stream, you got Suggs as a stream. Deep shallower leagues, you could consider Cole Anthony an option there as well. So Goga, Wagner, Suggs, Anthony, those 4 guys still remain stream-worthy plays. The next game, what is on my radar in the Raptors and the Celtics? I do want to see what Pascal Siakam has for us because we saw Siakam have some struggles early last game. Usage went up and minutes went up. I'm not that worried about the shot going in. That was always going to change. It was the disinterested nature of Pascal and the fact that he just wasn't getting shots that was more troubling to me. But it went back last game. That's what we watch. For the Celtics, we're constantly going to be on usage distribution watch, which brings me to Derek White, who was running at 12% usage and then had, I think, 27 last game. This is a back-to-back for Boston, the second game of the back-to-back. Al Horford is sitting Friday, so he should be available, I expect, on Saturday. And I don't think anybody else is going to sit, but we need to watch that. In terms of streams, Gary Trent is available in a lot of spots. He sort of has been able to push Dick to the side and get more of those minutes back. I still don't think he's must roster. And then with Horford sitting Friday, he plays Saturday. So he does become a quality stream option for the Saturday game. What else am I watching in the next game? What's on my radar? Miami and Atlanta. I want to see what Haywood Highsmith brings. I thought his roster percentage would have gone up. I believe, and I'm going to just double check this, in Industry Pickup, our industry league, which I am against Dan Titus this week, and happy with how things are going there at the moment. I think I'm 8-1 up after 3 days, so really good start to my week there. But if I have a look at the transactions, Duncan Robinson got added for the Heat for $14, but Haywood Highsmith didn't. Interesting. I think that's fine to have Highsmith as an ad. Robinson as ad. I think Highsmith on a 4-game day with a back-to-back, even though you might not play him on an 11-game Sunday, he's absolutely in play. He was really good last game. Caleb Martin is still out, and there's a chance that even Jimmy sits on Sunday. He's an interesting grab. Trae Young for Atlanta really did get cracking. He took one of the most audacious long threes I've ever seen, I reckon, in that game against the Magic. It was insane. We knew the shot would start to come back. It's still not fully there, but he put up some really big numbers. How the Young and Murray interplay continues is something to watch. In terms of streams, well, as I said, there's a lot of Heat ones. Kyle Lowry is probably the priority, but then there is Dunk Robinson, then there is Hayward Highsmith, and then we can go down further to Josh Richardson and even a Jaime Jaquez, who honestly might get the start with Hero out. I don't think he does, but I'm not going to rule that out. In terms of Atlanta stream options, I don't think that the depressed penis, Sadiq Bey, is a 12-team league guy, but I do think that he's always going to be, on a low-volume day like this, at least stream-worthy. He will have some stinkers for sure, and that happens with streamers. You can't guarantee this stuff. But the opportunity and the value should be there as a median-type scenario. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's also the easiest and the most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of worrying about salary caps, lineups, spreadsheets, the old algorithm, one of the funniest words I reckon that's come into modern lexicon a lot more, you can go in there and just look at player stats and just say, less, more. Duncan Robinson threes, more. Kylo Ren style, more. You can do all of that. Plus, multiple sports, plus their new special combo, which is on the Specials League. Like, example, they've got combo projections basketball football. LeBron threes, Travis Kelce receptions, it's at 10.5. And you choose less, or you Kylo Ren it and drop a more on there. Easy. You can win up to 25 times your entry fee back and choose between 2 to 6 players and get those more or less picks in. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a $100 deposit match on your first deposit. First deposit match, that sounds better. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Okay, let's bring it through to the final game of the day now. Fourth game, Saturday. Cleveland Warriors. What is on my radar? Darius Garland. He hasn't had the best start to the season. I know that people get their dicks in a knot worrying about people's turnovers. As you're well aware, I don't. I will punt turnovers in every single draft. I've actually won turnovers I think, in over half my matchups all season across all leagues, despite me paying zero attention to them in drafts. Garland at the moment is averaging a whopping 6 turnovers per game. Last season, he averaged, 2.9, 3.6, and 3. Like, this is going to drop. He is not going to be a 6 turnover player. It is going to come back down. Don't worry about it. But let's see, because his game hasn't been perfect so far. He's had the last 2 games, the assists have been up, and he finally played 36 minutes last game. The usage was well down, though. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster so far for Garlo. And for Wiggins, it's been a roller coaster, but only one that's at a local state fair where the bloke smokes 20 cigarettes a day and it comes off the rails. That's how bad it's been for Wiggins, and I don't have faith. Maybe he turns it around, but as I've said for the last 2 weeks where I've been dropping him, even if it does turn around, the upside's not high enough to hold through the bullshit. So let's see what Wiggins does. Any chance of effort, shooting, minutes, defense? We want to see it. In terms of streams, the Cavs don't really have any stream options. It would be Isaac Okoro, but he's questionable. So if he doesn't play, I'm not sure I really look at anyone there. Maybe it's George Niang? I don't know. It's a rough go with that team. And then for the Warriors, Gary Payton is a pretty good stream. He's looking like a better stream than someone like a John Kuminga. Dario Saric even looks like a better stream than John Kuminga. They've got a couple of real fantasy studs buried on that bench as well in Pajemski and Jackson Davis. So if you ever see them in a regular rotation role, they'll be someone to watch, but it's probably not going to be an issue in this game. Or not an issue, it's probably not going to be something that we need to pay attention to in this game. So let's look at the 2-for-1s. As I said, there are only 2 teams with the weekend back-to-back, Warriors and Heat. The Warriors have been pretty good in playing guys through the back-to-back. We saw Clay miss one of them, and I think that's it. This is like their 3rd back-to-back already, though. It's very early to have so many back-to-backs, so you should never be shocked if the Warriors sit a guy on one of these games. And then that brings in the Jackson Davis, the Pajemski, Kuminga, Saric, or whatever. If they do that, because that is a lot of back-to-backs early on. I don't know if any teams had as many as the Warriors have had. And the Heat are the other ones, with that big opportunity opening up with Tyler Hero out, with Caleb Martin probably out. Does Jimmy play? Does Lowry play? I guess he does. And then we've got Richardson and Lowry and Robinson and Huckers. And if Jimmy is out, that is more Huckers. And then does Jovic get in there? Highsmith's going to be an option. But they're the two teams with a back-to-back on the Saturday, Sunday. Now, Sunday has 11 games, so you probably can't stream, but maybe you can. And sometimes those streaming opportunities open up because you had someone hurt, you slot them into your IR, and then that spot opens up. So always just pay attention to your own individual needs and your individual roster. Let's look at some 10-team stream options. Not yet. Let's chunk it up. The next 5 days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The next 5 days. There are 3 quality streaming days there. Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday. So we go on, off, on, off, on, off. Al Horford. Yes, he's going to sit Friday, but 3 games. Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. That's worth a stream when you're trying to minimize your ads or maximize your games played for your ads. Again, it's all about your individual circumstance. Karis LeVert has 3 games and Jay Crowder has 3 games across those 3 quality game days. So obviously that means the Bucks, the Cavs, and the Celtics have those 2. Kobe White has got 2 games, 2 quality games out of the next 5 days. Mo Wagner and Jalen Suggs do as well. So would Goga Bitadze. So does Cole Anthony. So does all Magic players, pretty obviously. But these are 6 interesting chunky options that we can look in to maximize our games played for minimal ads. Now we look at 10-team stream options for Saturdays. These are all 65% rostered or less. Kyle Lowry's at 35%. Duncan Robinson's at 9%. Cole Anthony's at 52%. Jalen Suggs is at 45%. Mo Wagner's at 33% and Sadiq Bey's at 40%. All of those guys are going to be widely available in 10-team leagues and can provide some value for you. In 12-team leagues, we use the 40% rostered cutoff. So Kyle Lowry's there at 35%, Dunk Robinson at 9%, Mo Wagner 33%, Sadiq Bey at 40%, Goga Bitadze at 24%, and then Jaime Jaquez does just sneak in there with 3%. Maybe he's a 12-team stream. I'd prefer the other guys ahead of him. And of course, if someone like a Jalen Suggs is available, we look at him, but he just did miss my cutoff on this one. We go to deeper leagues. These are all 80% available or more. Duncan Robinson's at 9%. Huckers is at 3%. Gary Payton, 8% rostered. He's worth looking at here too. Highsmith, 8%. The back-to-back is really appealing, yeah. Same with Gary Payton also. Dario Saric, 17%. And Joshie Richardson, 6%. So a lot of these ones here. Robinson, Huckers, Payton, Highsmith, Saric, Richardson. And by a lot, I mean every single one of those has the back-to-back. So they play the Saturday, Sunday. So not only in deeper leagues do you get some guys who are going to be available who might be useful Saturday, you might actually use them Sunday too. So there you go. Lastly, we look at points league streamers. These are 50% rostered or below. Suggs at 45%. Kyle Lowry, Karis LeVert. Duncan LeVert's at 50%. Duncan Robinson at 9%. Bitadze at 24%. And Flaming Mo Wagner comes in at 33%. And guys, that'll do it for me today. Don't forget to follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. Leave your comments down below. What did you think of the player spotlight under the lens repurposement? Talking about Goga Bitadze. And on YouTube, you know what? You leave those comments, you thumb it up, you subscribe, and we're done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.